Indianapolis, the NFL's competition committee traditionally regards the game's rulebook as your grandparents did Christmas. Every year the same tree, same decorations, same background music, same feast, same good china, same tablecloth, same crystal ashtrays. Because they all do just fine, thank you very much. Don't bother buying us replacements. And there's the door if you don't like it. Well, too often the competition committee is just as rigid, just as old-fashioned, at least outside of the dozens of needed, safety-inspired rule changes this century. When fans, the media, even coaches clamor for some substantive change, the committee stands in the way, no matter how well-founded the motivation for the change, or airtight its logic. Yeah? Y'all want this radical new rule? Get off our snow-covered lawn. That's the essential message we have heard over and over. Longtime committee members typically have been terrified of going too far down some seemingly simple, cool, well-meaning new road. As keeper of the game's flame, they fear disaster and could not be more afraid of unintended consequences if they were organizing a stag party at a convent in Amsterdam. It's time committee members lighten up. Just as the general in Good Morning Vietnam explained to the cruel, gung-ho SGT major he was shipping off to the middle of nowhere, because this is just radio, so this is only football. Reports Monday said the committee began its first day of agenda-setting meetings here in Indianapolis, Indiana, conjunction with the NFL Scouting Combine, by spending a couple of hours knuckle-biting over what some, if not most, committee members still see as a terrifying, epical step of possibly allowing so-called judgment officials' calls to be reviewed on replay. Heavens to Betsy, never mind that the NFL is now years behind the CFL and other pro leagues in this regard. Committee member Stephen Jones, son of Jerry and executive VP of the Dallas Cowboys, told reporters here Tuesday that there certainly was energy in replay expansion discussions so far. The committee can, and should, look inward for the best reason to get radical. That is, at the results of its own bold action 12 months ago. A year ago at this time, at the behest of Commissioner Roger Goodell, the committee finally set about rewriting the dreaded catch rule to exclude the long-hated, survive the ground element. They succeeded. Owners approved the unencumbered catch rule at the annual meeting in late March, and guess what? Catches this past season suddenly, immediately became non-controversial. There wasn't one significant incident or replay review that left any team, or anybody's fan base, up in arms over some hair-slicing, counterintuitive interpretation of the catch rule, either by an on-field official or at the league's central replay command center. Yet for years, even decades, competition committee leaders had annually warned us all that to remove the complete the catch to the ground requirement would result in fumble-paloozas. Remember that? Important games and the sport itself would be wrecked by the sudden, stark rise in the number of fumbles and fumble return touchdowns. Specifically, the overriding concern was that passes once ruled incomplete between the sidelines would now be ruled as brief catches, then ground-caused fumbles, and we don't want cheap fumbles, Bill Polian, a Hall of Fame GM and longtime competition committee chair, told me in 2015. That's the point. You either have a completed pass, an incompleted pass, or a cheap fumble. That's what everybody misses, then Street. Louis Rams head coach Jeff Fisher, the committee's de facto co-chair in 2015, sang the same song to show why it would be foolish, senseless and wrong to remove the survive the ground element from the catch rule. If that becomes the case, you're going to have so many more fumbles. That's the concern, Fisher told me at the 2015 annual meeting. You got possession, both feet down, then the ball's out. Bang bang. This is where it was said numerous times in the committee, if you're going to go to the ground, hang on to the football. Just hang on to the football. Well, guess what? This past season there were 277 lost fumbles in 256 regular season games. Not only was that just one more fumble than in the season before, 2017, but it was 17 fewer fumbles than the average of 294 from 2013 to 17, when the survive the ground element of the catch rule was in force. What's more, defenses scored 24 fumble touchdowns in 2018. That is, fumbles either recovered in the end zone for a score, or returned for a score. That's down significantly from A, the 41 in 2017, B, the preceding 5-year average of 32 from 2013 to 17, and C, the preceding 10-year average of 30 from 2008 to 17. Cheap fumbles? Cheap scores? Try fewer fumbles, and fewer cheap scores. Maybe 2018 was an anomaly. And, yes, there are many other factors that contributed to last season's fumble totals. But after 1 year's batch of 256 games, it seems safe to conclude that all those concerns of fumblepaloozas were bogus. Fancy that. The sky didn't fall, despite years of assurances from the competition committee that it would. Just as it won't in 2019 and beyond, should the influential committee urge owners, as it should, late next month at the annual meeting in Phoenix to allow select judgment calls and non-calls, such as pass interference, to become reviewable. That'd be the competition committee equivalent of switching to LED Christmas lights. Or serving fish tacos as the festive feast's main course. Or handing out Grinch on neon orange socks for everyone to wear to the dining room table. As someone cranks Christmas into doghouse on the HomePod. 53 NFL GMs and coaches will try to say nothing important. Indianapolis, this is your annual reminder that the NFL Scouting Combine is only one part of a massive, multi-purpose, week-long gathering here of league personnel. Yes, the primary purpose is the so-called Underwear Olympics, during which hundreds of NFL coaches, GMs, scouts and doctors time, test, try out, greet, grill, poke, prod, x-ray, examine, inspect, reject, summarize, scrutinize, psychoanalyze and otherwise familiarize themselves with 339 of the top draft-eligible, ex-collegiate prospects. Beyond that, so much more will go down. Various league committees began meeting here at the massive Indiana Convention Center on Monday, including the competition committee, to discuss rules changes, and various medical and safety subcommittees. This year 53 of league's 64 general managers and head coaches will take a 15-minute turn at a news conference podium, on either Wednesday or Thursday. They'll try their best to avoid providing a single useful morsel of information, not only about who they might draft come April 25 to 27 in Nashville, but whom they might franchise tag by next Tuesday's deadline, who they might trade, who they might go after in free agency, who they might let go before free agency, or who they might re-sign before the end of the league year, 2 weeks from Wednesday. Still, there will be news. And lots of it. Stay tuned. Joe Cricket, postmedia.com @GionCrick.